major mistakes buyers make right here in Abuja. So let's dive in. So buying land in Abuja can be very, in fact, highly profitable. But yet, there's a few things you need to understand so you can make the right choice and buy your land safely and also not lose your investment. So the first mistake we're going to be looking at is not understanding Abuja's real estate market. See, Abuja's real estate market is very, very different compared to other cities. So Abuja practices the ministerial land administration, unlike other cities or rather other states where they practice the customary land administration. So all lands in the FCT belongs to the federal government according to the Land Use Act of 1976, which states that all land in the FCT meaning Abuja and all the other area councils, Gwagwalada, Buari, Kuje, Kwali, and the other ones, all together, that is the FCT. So all lands in the FCT belongs to the federal government. So you can't just buy land anywhere in the FCT. You can't just buy land from chief. Land has to be allocated to you from the federal government. And the second thing you need to understand is that all lands in Abuja are zoned. So they are zoned according to residential, commercial, mixed use, industrial, and green areas. So some people, when they want to buy land, or maybe they're going for land, they sometimes, because they don't have an idea that all lands in Abuja are zoned, they just take whatever it is that is being offered to them. So you need to understand that every land you see in Abuja is the way it is today because of these zoning regulations. So you see wide roads, you see bridges, you see green areas, and then you admire those places. So land has been, set aside for each of these various, uses right here in Abuja. And that's one of the things that make Abuja as beautiful as it is today. And then another thing you should also be aware of is that it's only in Abuja you hear documents like FCD R of O, or you hear things like letter of intent, or you hear things like TDB. So TDB means technical deed plan. And then FCD R of O is federal government approved right of occupancy. So a quick story, the very first time I heard of R of O was a couple of years ago, I think in 2023 or so. At the time, I wasn't here in Abuja. I wasn't based in Abuja at the time. I was in Enugu, and then someone reached out to me. The person was interested in buying a property, a land, let me be specific, land here in Abuja. And when I requested for the documents, I needed to see the documents, do my own research, ensure that this land that my client was interested in was legit before he could go ahead to make his payment, right? And I saw that the document was horrible. To be very honest, I was very, very surprised. I was shocked, and I had to ask questions. I was like, is horrible a title document? What does horrible mean? All this while I've been hearing C of O, deed of assignment, contract of sale, and the rest of it. So for me, that was my very first experience. So just the way I was, surprised that there's a title document called R of O. Is the same way some buyers are very surprised when they come to Abuja and then we're telling them that, oh, your building prototype needs to be approved, or there's a specific prototype to be approved, or when you're buying land, the plot you're choosing determines the purpose of you buying, determines the plot you're choosing. Of course, it does, because if you want to buy a residential, you want to buy land for a residential house, then the plot size you're choosing needs to be the one that has been zoned or approved for residential purposes. So when you understand these few things I've mentioned, you make better, wiser, and smarter buying decisions. So don't be in a hurry. Just take your time, study Abuja's land system, understand that Abuja has different districts, the titles, the zoning, before you pay for your land. Okay, so now we're moving to the second mistake, which is not conducting proper due diligence. So for a start, when we talk about due diligence, what do we mean? So this is simply the process where you conduct your checks, you confirm the legitimacy of the property you're buying, be it a house or land here in the city of Abuja. And for you to be able to do that, there are several things you need to look out for. The first one is to check the title. Now you conduct due diligence on the title. And how do you do this? So you can do this by going to AGIS, which is Abuja Geographic Information System, right here in Abuja. There you're going to check if the seller, the name the seller has provided for you on the document matches what is registered at AGIS, and if truly the seller truly owns the land. And another thing you're going to do is also conduct a due diligence on the seller. Now you could check the person's track record, you check what they've done in the past, you could check them online as well. To be honest, you're going to be amazed at what you find out. Now, if this person always delivers, when you check their track record, you're going to know that, oh, for example, it is a house or maybe a semi-finished house you're buying, and then they're going to build this house and deliver to you. So doing all of these background checks will enable you can determine if this seller or developer, as the case may be, would be able to deliver what they promise you. And also, if it is a land, then you're going to be sure that this developer or this seller does not have issues, truckload of issues with land disputes or any form of encumbrances. And then the next place you're going to go to from AGIS is to the Federal High Court or the FCT High Court. Now, checking at AGIS alone is not going to tell you if this land or the property you're buying is under litigation. You're going to find out when you get to court. So you check at the Federal High Court to know if this land is under any litigation, any land disputes, or any, if they are dragging with the government is saying this land is my own or this layout is mine, and then the seller is also saying it is mine. Okay, you're going to find out all of that when you go to the Federal High Court. And again, another thing that helps you with due diligence is virtual or physical site inspection. Now, you're going to carry out a site inspection. The aim of doing this is to find out if this property they've shown you on paper matches exactly what is on ground. So if it is a land, you go there, you check the topography of the land, you find out if it is a flood prone zone. You get to know that when you go there. And another thing, you check the surroundings, you check the neighborhood. This will help you know or determine if the value of your investment in that location is going to appreciate faster or is going to be slow. So there are some areas that are fast rising, fast developing areas where when you invest in, at least you just give it a couple of years, maybe 2, 3, 4 years thereabouts, and then the value of your property is appreciating over time. While there are some areas that it will take longer. So going for a physical site inspection will help you know and understand these things. And then you're going to ask questions. When you find neighbors there, you ask questions. You probably know a lot about the land. If tomorrow, for example, Mr. Emeka owns the land, and then one one, let's say Mr. Isaiah somewhere is coming to claim the land, they'll definitely be on site to do 1 or 2 fights. So your neighbors, your neighbors are going to tell you if something is wrong on that land or not. So going for a physical site inspection helps you. And then if you're not on ground, you could do a virtual site inspection. Now, and if you have someone that you could send, someone who understands the real estate market, who understands how real estate investments work, you send that person on a site inspection on your behalf to check and confirm everything you've seen virtually. So for due diligence, the first thing you should do is check the title, confirm that the title of the land is legit. Okay, the land is fully documented and registered. The second thing, check if this land is under any form of litigation or land dispute. And then the last thing you do is go for a physical site inspections. So some buyers fall in love with price, and pay immediately without doing all of these checks. Don't be that buyer. Just try as much as you can to, conduct due diligence. Never pay until everything is verified by a lawyer, by a surveyor, or a real estate consultant, okay? The next mistake we're going to be talking about is waiting for prices to drop, and that's number 3. So some people, in fact a lot of people, when they see the current price of a property in the market, they'll be like, let me just wait small, maybe the price will go down. My dear, not in Abuja. It doesn't happen in Abuja, and I'm going to tell you why. Number 1, Abuja is the seat of government, it is a seat of power. So everybody, many people want a piece of it. So people from all over the world, both people who are in Nigeria, who live in Nigeria, and who live abroad, are aggressively buying. That's one. The second one is that a lot of people are moving into Abuja, thereby increasing the population. Now, people move here on a daily basis. Some move because of work, some because of businesses, some because of education, and others because they just want a better lifestyle, or some they just need a change of environment. So they are relocating into Abuja. Now, an increase in population leads to an increase in rental and housing demand. So naturally, an increase in demand gives rise to an increase in property prices. Now, Abuja, the third one is Abuja is constantly being developed, okay, because it is the symbol of Nigeria. There are a lot of developments happening within and around Abuja. For example, this year alone, the FCT minister has flagged off over 20 major infrastructure developments around Abuja and the FCT. Now, what this is doing is opening up some of those satellite areas, opening up some of those, remote areas, from major roads construction to electricity to water supply. And when these infrastructure developments happen, in fact, anywhere infrastructure developments happen, the next thing that happens is that the value of properties around that area begin to appreciate. So this is one of the reasons why prices in Abuja will keep increasing. So long as Abuja remains the political, heart of Nigeria, prices here would never go down. So when you see a property, let's say a property is selling for 5 million, don't be expecting that property to sell for 3 million tomorrow. So there's a saying that land never depreciates, right? And it is a fact. Land never depreciates. It only keeps appreciating in value. So when you find an offer, for example, that matches the location of that property, matches what you have in mind, What I'm trying to communicate is you love the location. You want to own a property in that location. That is one. And then you check the title, and then the title is legit, and also the price falls within your budget. What you should do is pay for that property almost immediately. Don't wait for prices to increase, because that will be, to reduce, because that will be the, the cheapest price you'd ever find that property. When you delay or you wait longer, you end up paying more. All right, so that's that for number 4. Let's move on to three. Let's move on to number 4. So the fourth mistake a lot of buyers make buying property in Abuja is unrealistic price expectations. This is really, really funny. But see, some buyers expect areas, or let me put it this way. When you're being offered land, let's say, at a very ridiculously cheap price in a high-broke area, then that's a red flag for sure. So for instance, a place like Buzape, Maine, someone comes to you and then gives you, land, let's say a 150 square meter plot of land selling at 10 million. My dear, you need to run. Just pick race and find your square, because currently the value of land in Buzape is way above 10 million. This should raise questions in your mind. Ask questions and then compare the market value of that location. No matter the location that you're being offered, just compare the market value. Find out if the current price you're being offered actually matches the value of properties that are being sold in that area at the moment. So what a lot of scammers do is that they use these things to deceive, buyers who are very ignorant, who do not know these things, who are not very much aware. And that is the essence of this video, for you to, understand and know better when you find yourself in this kind of situation. And number 5 mistake. So the 5th mistake we're going to be talking about is buying from chiefs, family heads, or communities. Right. Now, this may work in other states, but certainly not Abuja. And there's a reason why. Now, like I said earlier, Abuja uses the ministerial land administration, while other cities use customary land administration. Now, when I say customary, what do I mean? For other states, they buy land from the communities, they buy land from the chief heads, and then they take it to the government for registration and proper documentation. And then in Abuja, you buy from the government and then compensate the locals. So it is only in Abuja that the ministerial land administration is being practiced. And that is the main reason why buying from chief head, or buying from chiefs, buying from communities in Abuja is a red flag. In fact, I would encourage you to prioritize buying federal government approved properties right here in the city of Abuja. So a quick story. I think recently, about a few months ago, I had this client reach out to me. We had a property where we're selling in one location here in Abuja called Highland City. And this property is located in Shiriti Kabusa. So this client reached out, and what he wanted to do was find out from me about a house he owns in Kabusa. So he bought land in Kabusa, he built this house, and I think he has, from the time of buying the land and building the house, some up to 15 years, right? As at the time, he bought the land from a chief head, or rather a chief's head. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he bought it from a chief, and he built on this land, and now he owns a house. So his purpose of calling was to, get me to help him find out if this house he owns would be demolished later on or not. While I went ahead to help him, get what he wanted, it just occurred to me that a lot of people buy lands or properties in Abuja here blindly. One is because sometimes you're buying from someone you trust, so you don't go to do the necessary findings you're supposed to do. And secondly, if you want to own properties in Abuja, you need to understand that Abuja's land system is completely different from other states. So if it were not Abuja, then he wouldn't be worried. Because it is Abuja, he had every reason to be worried. Why? Because Kabusa and Shiri government approved layout. So even if at the time he bought it, he didn't know it was federal government approved layout. The government, that's not the government. When it's time for them to, make use of land, every house that is obstructing whatever it is they want to do will be demolished. We're going to be talking about right now is taking advice from unprofessionals. What I mean here is this: for everything you're doing or for everything you want to do, there are experts in that field. So when it comes to real estate, we also have experienced professionals in the real estate industry that would help you, that would guide you through the entire process. So when you want to make a buying decision, the best thing for you to do is seek the help of these professionals to help you make these decisions. Not like they're going to, they're going to make decisions for you, but they would help you see why you should make the right decisions. So for some people, you want to buy land in Abuja, maybe you're not even living in Nigeria, and then you call your brother who is based in Enugu, just an instance, right? Who is based in Enugu, and then you're asking him about real estate, about the land you want to buy in Abuja. And then, not just that, you listen to his opinion. Number one, your brother who is in Enugu may or may not have an idea of how the real estate market works, because this person does not, work in the real estate industry, is not an experienced real estate consultant. That is one. Number two, sometimes you want to buy a house or maybe you want to build, and then you're sending money to your uncle who is in the village to help you build. And I don't want to say how that ends, but let me just go ahead. So a quick story here. I had this client, or rather, it's not even my personal story. This wasn't my personal experience, but a colleague of mine, whom the client has been speaking to her for a while. And when it was time to buy, decided to listen to, the advice of a family member and sent all his money to the family member to help purchase the land and build on it. Years down the line, after sweating so hard to make money abroad, he came back only to discover that land was not bought, the house was not built. So sometimes it is very good for you to make use of professionals when you want to make this kind of decisions. It will save you a lot. Now for real estate, there are three categories of people you should, seek their services. You can seek the services of a real estate consultant who would help you with all the property checks, the site inspections, and the entire process. You can also seek the services of a good property lawyer. Now, this is where they would help you check the title, the documents to confirm if they are legitimate before you proceed with buying. And also, the services of a surveyor comes in here. Now, when it comes to checking the boundaries, checking the dimensions of the land you're buying, ensuring that your land what is on paper matches what is on ground, then you need the services of an experienced surveyor that would help you, do all the necessary checks. So before you make your decision, get verified information from these people. They'll help you achieve that. Now you can also, take advice from your friends, from your families, but let the decision you're making be based on verified information. Okay, let it be on verified information. Don't just make decisions based on word of mouth. Right, so we're moving to the next, which is number 7. So, number 7 mistake a lot of buyers make is not conducting a proper need analysis. So before buying, there are a few things you need to do. Number 1, you need to decide that first, I truly want to buy a property. It's just like when you want to buy, maybe you want to buy a car, or maybe you want to get married. You need to first decide within you, in your heart of hearts, that yes, I want to get married. So when it comes to buying a property, first you need to decide that you want to own a property. You want to buy a property before you proceed. And then you need to find out exactly what you want. And then ask yourself this question: why do I want this property? Am I buying it because I want to live in? Am I buying it because I want to hold and maybe resell later? Or am I buying it because I want to rent it out and make good profits? Now, understanding these would help you make better buying decisions. It will determine first what you're going for. If it is a land, you know that, okay, if I'm going to buy to rent out, then I should probably go for a plot that would allow me build, houses that I can rent out and make good profits. Now, if it is to live in, you also decide that, okay, I'm going for a plot size that I will build maybe a standalone duplex or a house that I can comfortably live in with my family. And then if you intend to hold and probably resell later, it will also determine the area, the location that you're going for. Okay. And then the next thing you need to also, decide on is your budget. What budget am I going to use for this acquisition? So for example, maybe you want to buy land or a house. You need to decide and set out a budget and say, okay, I need to buy a house, but this is what I'm willing to spend on buying this house. So I want a house within the range of 100 to 300 million, or I want a land within the range of, let's say, 50 million to 150 million. That's you setting aside a budget. So here is something that happened, recently that, helped, that really, really amazed me. So there's this client of mine who, I think for the last 2 months, or rather 3 months or so, have been buying properties right here in the city of Abuja. And during the first period of conversations we're having, the client said, okay, I think this year, one of my goals this year was to invest in properties, in real estate particularly. And number 1, he chose Abuja as the location. And he didn't just choose Abuja as the location. Another thing he did, he set out over 200 million to buy land alone in the city of Abuja. Now, one of the things that this helps you do is when you meet us, the real estate consultant, that, oh, I want to buy a property within this budget or this budget, it helps us provide you with what you need exactly, and it helps us serve you better. So there are different reasons why people buy property, or rather there are 2 major reasons why people buy property. Number 1 is capital appreciation, and number 2 is for cash flow. So your purpose of buying a property determines the prototype, the location, the budget, and the investment strategy you're willing to use. Wow, I hope you got value from this session today. In the last couple of minutes, we've been talking basically about major reasons why major mistakes people make buying properties right here in Abuja. And one, we talked about the first mistake we talked about is not understanding the Abuja real estate market. The second we talked about is not conducting proper due diligence. And the third we talked about is you waiting for prices to drop. And then the number four is unrealistic price expectations. And number five is buying from chiefs or communities. And number six is taking advice from non-professionals. And the last on the list that we talked about was not conducting a proper need analysis. So in order to protect your investment and secure profitable outcomes, you need to avoid these mistakes. So remember that knowledge, verification, timing, these three elements determine whether your investment succeeds or whether it fails. So it is very important that you make informed choices. Avoid making these mistakes and secure your future today. So if you're looking to own a property right here in the city of Abuja, you can reach out to us. Our numbers will be displayed in the comment section. You can reach out to us, or maybe you need guidance, maybe you need to understand how the real estate market in Abuja works so you can make better, safer and more profitable real estate decisions, buying decisions. Call the number or reach to us on WhatsApp and we would help you. So thank you. Today we've come to the very end of our session today. It was nice, doing this with you. See you. Bye-bye.